Okay, this lesson, applications of the discriminant. In the quadratic formula, the part under the square root is called the discriminant. Okay? So, if you remember way back the first section of this, they had you solve b squared minus 4ac, and then they gave you a bunch of problems where a was equal, b was equal, c was equal. They were just getting you used to doing this because it's the discriminant, which is what it's called in the quadratic formula. So, it's very easy. What we're doing today is when you have a quadratic, the discriminant tells you what kind of answer you're going to have. Right? JC? When you figured out b squared minus 4ac, if it is greater than 0, I'll just write it like this. Which means if something's greater than 0, that means it's what kind of number? Positive. If it's greater than 0, that means you have two solutions. Because remember, you go negative b plus this, and then divide by this, and then negative b minus that. Remember how we got two solutions? Two answers. If b squared minus 4ac equals 0, then you just have one solution. Because what happens is, let's say this turns out to be 0. Square root of 0 is 0. So like if this number is negative 6 and this number is 6, negative 6 plus 0 divided by 6 is negative 1, and negative 6 minus 0 divided by 6 is negative 1. Right? Make sense? Then the only other one, which we really haven't had any yet, if b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, what kind of number is that? It's a negative. Well, what happens if you get a negative under a square root? You get an error, so this is no solution. So, all we're doing today is you're going to have quadratic equations, but you're not going to have to completely solve them. All you're going to have to do is say if they have two solutions, one solution, or no solution. We don't actually have to find what the 1 is or the 2 is. So here, in this one, a is 1, b is negative 2, c is negative 9. We don't have to solve it. They're just wondering, does it have 2, 1, or no solution? So all we got to do is figure out b squared minus 4ac. So we put b squared in there, that's 4. Take away 4 times a times c. That turns out to be 46. So what does it have? Two solutions, one solution, or no solution? Two solutions. If the b squared minus 4ac is a positive number, it's two solutions. If it's 0, it's one solution. Negative, it's no solution. Okay, same thing here. Let's go down where we got more room. So a is negative 1, b is negative 5, c is negative 9. So b squared minus 4 times a times c. I don't remember who it was, but they kind of figured it out. When you have a negative here and a negative there, what does that turn to? Positive. So it's going to be 25 plus something, which means it's going to be a positive number, right? Which means this will have two solutions. It turns out to be 25 plus 36, which is what, 61? Here, a is 4, b is negative 4, c is 1. So b squared minus 4 times A times C is 0. 16 minus 16. So that has just one solution. See if we got one with no solution. A is 8, B is 8, C is 1. So B squared, which is 64, minus 4 times A times C, that's going to equal 32. So that has two solutions. This one must be the no solution. A is negative 2, B is 3, C is negative 5. So B squared minus 4 times A times C you get negative 31. Can't have a negative under square root, so this one is no solution. Now just to remind you, if you were to graph this one, two solutions means it's going to cross twice, right? If it's got one solution, it's just going to touch at one spot. What happens if there's no solution? It doesn't intersect. It's either a parabola that's above it or below it. Okay, these are the same problems. Use the related equation to find the number of x-intercepts of the graph. Remember, the number of x-intercepts, what does x-intercepts mean? Solutions. So, these problems, it's just worded differently. It's the same as this. So to find the number of x-intercepts, that just means does it have two solutions, one solution, no solution. Okay? So that's what the whole thing is. The only difference on these is they have a y in it. Here it's set equal to 0. But they're the same exact thing. Everyone got it?